Hi everyone, this is Dan, and this is Uncanny X-Men 198, Life Death 2, by Chris Claremont with Barry Windsor-Smith as the artist. This was, this was 1985. Man, so I actually was going to do Uncanny X-Men, I think 195, just because it was such a fun story and self-contained, which typically a lot of Claremont issues are. And instead, I was kind of running through all these old X-Men comics, and I ran into this one. I finished it, and I was just blown away by it. And yeah, let's just get into it right here. Here's the splash page. Here's Storm going through some stuff. So for those of you who aren't in the know, this is probably some of the best X-Men comics right here. This whole run right here, all the way like 180 all the way through 220 is just really, really good Chris Claremont writing. But yeah, so in for those not in the know, Storm has kind of lost her powers from a previous episode, if you will. And she's kind of going through some sort of issues dealing with having no powers now. She went back to Africa to kind of clear her mind and find herself again. And this issue is really just a character study of Storm, and it's freaking amazing. It's just incredible. So she gets caught in a sandstorm. She has this, incredible realization of, what once she commanded now is, trying to destroy her. And she gets some reprieve here and there. Then she starts having delusions. Here's Forge, the man who in her mind basically destroyed her powers, but that she fell in love with in Life Death 1, which by the way is another great story. But there's one thing about this that I really want to go over, and that is the next couple pages really kind of affected me the most. So she realizes this is an illusion. She runs away, and then she falls down and, thinks it's a pit viper, wrestles with it and throws it, and she thinks she's been bitten and she's about to die. She finds a cave. I am done then, finished. A cave. Fine, at least there I can die in relative peace and quiet. And in there, she sits down, but no one will ever know where I lie, how this came to be. Perhaps that is for the best. And then she hears these voices calling out to her. And, probably another illusion, but it's the X-Men, right? It's like, my fellow X-Men, I must be mad. I do not care. And then she accuses them. You took me from my home. Because of you, I lost my soul, my oneness with the world. I lost the powers of a goddess. I have become nothing. Just incredible. And here, so the voice of Jean Grey calls back and, talks to her about, that, oh, man. Sorry, I really like the Storm that Claremont writes. It really is an amazing character. I loved you, Jean, as sister and best friend, yet in your hour of need, I could not save you. And then she talks back to her, Aurora, I lived, I died, by my choice. Knowing all that would happen, I'd still have taken on the mantle of Phoenix. I love Scott. I love you all too much to lose you, then or now. Just goes on, and, she starts thinking, oh, this can't be real. Just freaking let me die in peace. Wolverine is like, I can do that for you. Do you really want to die? Is that really what you want? And then she kind of strikes back at Professor X, saying, why did you take me, away from that? And she, and he kind of goes back, Aurora, my dear child, you have always been afraid. Why do you think I took you from your nest and forced you to fly? You were safe there as a baby in her mother's womb had you remained. You would also have remained an infant and probably perished with this land. Basically kind of calling her out that, he actually grew her by taking her out of Africa and into the world of the X-Men. Pretty interesting. I don't think this is actually, I think this is kind of her subconscious, right? Her inner self basically commenting back to her that, no, these people did you a good solid. as far as taking you out, and it's not their fault, that you're in the position you're in right now. Man, oh, this is pretty amazing. So she wakes up from this, goes over, and it goes into a sort of the subplot here where she finds this lady in a crash and she's pregnant. She's trying to get back to her village. I'm going to skip a few right here. They make it back to the village, and there, they welcome her back. She's about to give birth, and there's complications, and Aurora has to basically be a midwife, which she does with some drama and some pretty interesting art, but from John Romita, or from Barry Windsor-Smith, I should say. And then you get sort of an end plot right here, where the elder of the village goes out onto a hill to die, sort of, and then recaps, sort of this interesting story about, this village, and how people came with technology to sort of cultivate and bring the village up from sorry, I have to laugh, this place still exists. That this village gets brought up with technology, but their poor use of the technology ends up actually destroying them rather than helping them. And it's very interesting because later on he kind of nuances that the technology isn't to blame, right? It's our own poor use of it that really hurt us. And life goes on, and we have to kind of take these lessons going forward and move on. It's very interesting. Like Chris Claremont doesn't try to hit you with a blunt message with this. There's a lot of stories out there that are like, oh, destroying the old world is freaking Fern Gully kind of horseshit. But this is this is a story that kind of points out both the good and the bad in a very nuanced way, and it's really what makes Chris Claremont such a great writer. Oh, man. At the end, you get this, and you have this narration. Storm kind of comes up and comes to realization that this is sort of the mountain that she was imagining when she left America and went back to Africa to rediscover herself. And it's just amazing art and amazing character study. It's incredible if you think about it. This is another reason why I grabbed this, besides the fact that I love Chris Claremont Storm so much. It's that this story is also an example of sort of the contrary to what I always kind of like. I always like stories that are very structured and action-oriented and everything. And it's not to say that a story has to always be that. In this case, this story, there's not really a whole lot of action. Yeah, she kind of flails around with her dreams, but there's not really a whole lot actually going on. It's all in her mind. And even in this subplot here, there's not really action going on either. But the writing and the pacing is so well done, you don't even care. It just is really good. And stories like these are they have to be kind of earned, right? Like Chris Claremont, he made so many issues and developed his character over so many stories, right? Most of them following the format of just high action, that you reach a point where you can do an issue like this, and it's sort of like a fanfare for this character. You can't just do this right away. You have to kind of build to it. And it's that patience, that hard work, that grinding it out over hundreds and hundreds of well, I shouldn't say hundreds, but tens and tens of issues over many, many years to come to this great character development, where this character is more than just, it's more than just a narration in the beginning. It's more than just some silly, catchphrase or something like that. This is such a deep character in his hands, right? And it's almost sad when you read current X-Men and you look at what Storm has kind of become. She really, a lot of writers, I think, they just missed the point of this character. I remember reading just the small dialogue from Jonathan Hickman's current run, and it just sort of I feel like that character is gone. It's dead. There really is, nothing like what Claremont is writing in these stories right here. Anyway, I think I've like lamented enough here. This is a phenomenal comic. And yeah, if you can, I mean, you're not going to find it for this price, but if you could find this, like, totally worth collecting, totally worth picking up, or it might even be cheaper in a trade, if you can find a trade that has this as well, but totally recommend it. And yeah, man, I said I was going to do Berserk, and I ended up not doing it just because I was running through some X-Men comics, and this really caught me a lot, just because I was kind of reminiscing about the really good X-Men days. But anyway, if you like the video, go ahead and like and subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. If you have any comments about this old X-Men comic or any of the old classic Chris Claremont, please put them down below. And yeah, I will see you next time.